Picture yourself at a desk, the document open, the cursor blinking, but you're frozen. It's like a stagnant pond on a foggy morning, with an empty chair waiting for movement that never comes. You checked your phone twice, believing the right headspace would arrive. The cost of waiting is more than lost time. It's the small escapes that reinforce avoidance. You open social media, watch videos, call it research. Your brain learns to run from resistance, and the empty chair stays empty, a monument to good intentions. The solution isn't another productivity hack. It's learning to start before you feel ready, to lower the bar so low that resistance can't stop you. That's where the 5-minute rule changes everything, but not the way you've heard. It's about proving to your brain that the task won't hurt, one imperfect start at a time. Waiting for the perfect mindset is like hoping storm clouds will clear before you step outside, but the zone isn't a weather pattern you can predict. It's a muscle you flex by starting ugly. Flow follows the first awkward keystroke. Procrastination is a dam holding back a reservoir of anxiety. The longer you wait, the pressure builds until it cracks. The 5-minute rule is the controlled breach, a small, deliberate leak that prevents the whole structure from shattering. Once you start, the pent-up energy transforms into steady output. Flow isn't a calm sea. It's a rocky shore where waves crash unpredictably. You launch your boat into the chop, not after it settles. The first few minutes are jarring, but then you find a rhythm and suddenly you're sailing. Avoidance is a rabbit burrow. What begins as a quick thought, I'll just check this, branches into endless side tunnels. You chase notifications instead of momentum, and the real work remains untouched. Flow cannot find you here. It only arrives once you push through the opening. Procrastination is quicksand. The more you struggle against starting, the faster you sink into anxiety. Resistance thickens with every scroll, and soon the weight of unbegun work pins you down. The only way out is to stop thrashing and take a small, deliberate step forward. Waiting for perfect conditions is a deep cave. You wander in darkness searching for a spark that never comes. Without action, the walls close in, and your purpose fades. The exit is simple. Stop waiting, start doing, and flow finds you. Once you push past the shallows, you enter the river rapids of deep work. Flow isn't calm, it's turbulent, loud, and demands everything. You earn it by diving in without hesitation, and the chaos becomes your driving force, propelling you forward. Momentum builds like a waterfall, a trickle at first, then a roaring torrent. Each focused minute feeds the flow until it becomes unstoppable. You don't need to push the river, you just let the initial effort gather weight and plunge into deep focus. Once you're in the swift current, sustaining flow becomes steering, not paddling. The initial struggle is past. Now you guide your attention, letting the established momentum carry you. The river does the heavy lifting, you simply choose the direction, staying locked on the target. Like a baby deer taking its first wobbly steps, progress begins with stumbles. You don't need perfect conditions to find flow. You just need to start moving, even if it feels clumsy. The awkwardness isn't failure, it's the sign you're on the edge of flow. Like a seedling breaking through soil, it doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It pushes through darkness, driven by instinct. Growth happens in the messy, uncertain first step, not in the comfortable waiting. You too must start before you feel ready, trusting that flow follows action. A bird's first flight is a clumsy flurry of wings, but it's the only way to soar. The 5-minute rule is that leap. Messy, unrefined, yet effective. Just like the bird, your initial effort may wobble, but persistence lifts you. Start ugly, and momentum will follow. Like an eagle locking on to prey, the 5-minute rule demands a focused gaze on the task ahead. Set a stopwatch, not for planning, but for starting ugly. The hunt begins with a single committed dive. The stopwatch strips away negotiation. That ticking sound is the alarm your brain needs to shift from resistance to action. 3 minutes in, the grip of avoidance loosens, just as the eagle's dive silences all hesitation. By minute 5, your focused gaze has locked you into the work. The resistance is behind you, swallowed by motion. Ugh. Ugh. Like the eagle snatching its target, you've proven that starting messy creates its own momentum. The first time you use the 5-minute rule, it feels like pushing through a storm, but each time after, the resistance thins. Like the sun breaking through clouds, clarity emerges faster. Your brain learns the alarm is false, and the approach becomes less daunting. Consistent action is like a melting glacier. The progress seems slow at first, barely visible, but each session adds heat, and over time, the impossible mass of resistance shrinks. Momentum builds incrementally until the whole landscape of your work habits transforms. Eventually, starting becomes less of a battle. The blooming of a time-lapse flower shows what happens with accumulated trust. You no longer wait for the perfect moment, you create it. Flow arrives not as a surprise, but as a natural response to your action. Your brain sets off a false alarm when facing work, much like a hedgehog curling into a defensive ball. It perceives danger, but the task is actually harmless. This instinctive reaction creates powerful resistance, yet the threat is purely imaginary. That sudden impulse to avoid work hits like a lightning strike, intense, startling, and overwhelming, but just as quickly, it passes if you don't react. The flash of dread fades once you take action and move forward. After pushing through the initial resistance, your mindset shifts. You become like a watchful meerkat, alert and scanning for opportunity. The same vigilance that once signaled danger now fuels your engagement, keeping you immersed in the task. A caterpillar doesn't wait for the perfect leaf. It starts chewing wherever it lands, messy and relentless. That imperfect beginning fuels the entire transformation inside the cocoon. Ugly starts often build momentum you can't plan for. That's how nature works, and your brain is no different. A bird building a nest doesn't critique each twig. It grabs whatever fits, weaving a chaotic pile at first. Only through doing does the shape emerge. Momentum comes from action, not perfect planning. The mess is not the enemy, it's the beginning of structure. Michelangelo didn't start with a finished sculpture. He began with a rough block and a messy first strike. That ugly beginning led to David. Your work follows the same rule. Start rough, build momentum, refine later. The masterpiece is just an ugly start you stuck with. Consider birds migrating at first light. They don't wait for certainty. They launch into the dark, trusting the path will unfold. Every wing beat is a small deposit of trust, compounding as they cross oceans. Your daily start, no matter how clumsy, builds the same unshakable momentum. First light isn't a grand event. It's a quiet signal that another chance has arrived. In that soft glow, your resistance whispers, but you can choose to begin anyway. That choice, repeated, compounds into a deep trust that you'll show up for yourself. day after day. The ocean surf never stops to ask if conditions are perfect. It crashes, retreats, and crashes again in a rhythm that reshapes the shore. Your sustained effort works the same way. Each session, a wave that slowly erodes resistance. Trust builds when you become the tide, not the tourist.